Hi, I'm Sutonia, and I'm on field. Introduce you to the Warlords team. They bought the same setup they bought before: two Bargist, Raptor, two Bantams, and Elise Randolph will introduce the Hard Knocks team.
Hey guys, I'm Elise Randolph, and the Hard Knocks team has a Guardian, a Brutix, two tanky little Punishers, and a Typhoon as the core. So this is potentially the last match. Not sure. This setup seems a little bit weak, but I'm not sure how these Bargus are going to apply damage to this Guardian. Like that seems to be what the linchpin is going to be. As the match starts in right now, actually, you can see just how close these teams are to one another. So they warped in at a very acute angles, so they are super, super, super close. Be interesting to see how these Punishers pull screens on.
Yeah, they're both scramming a Barghest each, so I guess they're going to try and all in the Barghests. That seems like the most sensible option since they don't really have too much anti-support DPS. I don't think they'll be able to kill Bantams very effectively with a Brutix and a Typhoon.
All right, and we see. Okay, wow, Anaris's Guardian is super tackled now by these by this Raptor. And interestingly enough, the it looks like the Bantams moved over towards the side near the Guardian, so they just cleared away from the Barghest, which just seems to be tanking fine. And this Guardian's just eating it right now.
Yeah, I'd expect the Guardian to tank a lot more, especially if it has an afterburner. But I guess the Raptor is webbing him down, and Bargus still applied pretty well. There is energy neutralizers as well from the Bargus and smart bombs, which are going to be clearing out the drones that are on the Typhoons.
Yeah, the Typhoon is running a smart bomb locally, and he's trying to kill these EC drones. But the EC drones aren't doing all that much, and this Guardian Anaris is just going super, super far down. And wow, he's not long for this world at all. He's not tanking, he's not bait or anything. Wow, he just
He's
exploded
got
right through structure. Good lord, that was unexpected. I thought maybe he could survive a little bit while these Bargis went on reload. It looks like the Bargis they're not even on reload right now. They're just melting this Brutix straight off. Hoodie Mafia is going down. Oh my goodness, did not expect this to happen. As we were talking about before, like this conquest format, the longer you go, the more wins you get, the weaker your teams become. So, I mean, down 0-2 does not really mean all that much.
Yeah, I mean, it's still perfectly possible for Warlords to bring it back. It looks like they're going to at least bring back this match because I don't think there's too much that Hard Knocks can do now that they've lost their Guardian.
Yeah.
Leopold seems to be tanking fine, especially since the two Bantams are alive.
Yeah, it's amazing what these phantoms can do when there are no Swiffles and Confessors around. Like, those Swiffles and Confessors really just completely obliterated these phantoms. But now with just the two cores of a Brutix and Typhoon, they're just gravy train with biscuit wheels right now.
Oh, and that Typhoon has such a cool skin too. It's actually flying the skin that they would win. They would win five more copies of if they win the series, of course.
Indeed. Well, each team competing here has at least 15 of them, and if we can get like a close-in shot on it, it is definitely beautiful. As we can see, it has now got a bunch of holes in it because it is taking a massive amounts of damage from these double Vargas cores. They might not be able to finish them off in one reload cycle, like they might have to reload one more time, but they're definitely not long for this world. Sutori, do you think this is just like this didn't come down to piloting skill or any difference in piloting? Do you think it just came down to better setup or what?
Yeah, I don't like Hard Knock setup against this team. Like they have like Typhoon and Brutix, which is very unreliable DPS. I think, especially like the two Punishers are really good at like tackling things down because they have a scram each, and they're like really tanky. They're like 20k HP, but they're not great at like killing like bantams and stuff, and they also only have one mid, so like they only have like a scram each. They don't have any webs to help with application like the Typhoon and the Brutix probably need to deal with any of the like the small stuff on the Warlord side.
Yeah, the ships are really good at holding down mobile cores, but not really good when. I mean, the Bargas can just shoot all over the field. They don't really care too much, especially with the warping that they got, which is right close to one another. So we've got one little Punisher left on the field for Hard Knocks, and Tusk and Warlords of the Deep are looking really strong in this match. They're gonna take it. They're gonna bring it. They're gonna not quite even it up, but they're gonna take a game back. They won't be able to use this Barga setup anymore though with this win. Do you think that's gonna screw them over going forward?
But they still have the Super Bowl setup they bought in Game One, which is pretty strong. They still have some cool setups. They have Scorpion Navy issue set up as well, which I'm sure Puffney would love to commentate on.
Alrighty, and that is the last chip dead. Hard Knocks lose the match. Warlords take another one, and we're gonna go send it back to the desk.
The new high-performance Rig 500 headset from Plantronics is designed to match the skills of an aspiring esport player with the gear they need to win. The new modular system gives you the power to adapt, upgrade, and personalize your headset for the task at hand. The Rig 500 series of gaming headsets are engineered to deliver the perfect combination of durable lightweight comfort in an immersive audio environment. 7.1 surround sound and 24-bit audio provide a stunning 360-degree sound field with directional audio. 40mm drivers with low-frequency resonators provide crisp highs and boosted bass. Clear voice noise-canceling technology provides clear communication to your teammates. From the headset company that equips the pros, the 500 series was crafted to meet the needs of esports and competitive players around the world. The new Rig 500 series of headsets from Plantronics. Respect the training. Reactions win. Hey guys, welcome back. It looks like game is not over, story's not done. Warlords pulled it back. It's looking really good. The last question that we asked for the little giveaways was, what is the name of the new faction titan? It's basically a Vindicator and Erebus combined into one beautiful game-breaking ship. It is called the Vanquisher, and it will vanquish all bad guys. The next question that you guys can ask or answer for some Eve bet money, just answer it in chat, is what is the name of the smallest citadel? And there actually are some in Eve right now that have just been launched. They're not active yet because they take a day to do, but whatever. So feel free to answer that in chat. And if you want to tweet about it, make sure to include the Eve Sports hashtag and the Eve_NT hashtag for to come up on the little side thing over there. That'll be really dope. And other than that, I'm going to hand it back over to Squeebles.
Hi. I wasn't fully prepared, but
Oh,
I'm just excited. At least I don't know if you're excited, but I'm excited because
I'm so excited I can't even hide it.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, because I didn't want my name and face or your name and face stuck to a 3-0 clean sweep in the semifinals. Who wants that legacy in Eve Sports? In hashtag Eve Sports, which people should tweet me questions at hashtag Eve Sports. Not so subtle subliminal messaging, but step up your media game, your social media game there, viewers. You're killing me. All right, so a great match. congratulations to Warlords of the Deep. A lot of times it can motivate you to be down 2-0 in a best of 5, but it can also be hugely disheartening. So nice to see them bring a comp that they had already brought and win with it. That's got to be a huge morale boost for them. Keeps them in the game, keeps all of us happy. It means there's going to be more explosions. So there's a number of things to talk about there. We've already sort of discussed the weaknesses of the Bargus comp, or perceived weaknesses of the Bargus comp, I should say. But it seemed like two things changed there. So obviously the Svipples didn't dismantle the Bantams this time around because there were no Svipples. But then again, there were also painters coming off of the Bargus this time. So Apotny, was that flown like a completely different comp, or was just the matchup between that comp and the armor composition Hard Knocks brought a better break for Warlords this time?
I mean, if you compare the Scimitar to the Guardian, they're both T2 Logis, and the Guardian is going to, realistically have even the smaller sig. But if you were watching the screen there, we saw newt effects going off from the Bargus to the Guardian at the beginning of the match, and I'm inclined to think that with the newt changes that has given newts fall off, the Guardian just got mega fucked for cap, couldn't move, and that's another big part of the missile tracking. So combining that with the painters coming off of the Bargus themselves, which as they were so close weren't that far into painter pull off, meant they were just applying damage really, really well. In the first match we saw against Scimitar was really far away, it wasn't tackled, it wasn't painted, so it had a really easy time. Guardian might have been out of cap, it was painted well, it was tackled well, by the Bantams, and it just got mega destroyed. So that's what we were saying about the rapid heavies.
I'm going to cut you off there. If we could bring up the Bantam on stream. A lot of people, obviously, we have T2 logistics frigates now, so Tranquility occasionally... Sorry, 1 second. We're working on it. We got some technical issues. I need to crack the whip harder next tomorrow. The Bantam is a ship that we see occasionally supporting small frigate gangs. It's inexpensive, it's mobile, it's low SP friendly, but a lot of times nowadays you'll see a T2 Logi frigate in its place. So Bay, I'm sure several people noticed, I actually overlooked it, but Bay pointed out that there was tackle coming off of these Bantams, which are logistics frigates. I didn't see it happening, but Bay, can you just say like how important and or badass of a decision that is?
I think looking back on it, I think that was one of the key parts of the setup. Because they didn't have the vigil like we were discussing last break. The setup didn't have the vigil. We were quite confused. Why wouldn't you bring the target painter? You need to apply the damage of those missiles, otherwise completely wasting your time. It was actually pretty sick play. I saw. So straight away, as soon as the match started, the three frigates on the Warlords of the Deep side, they peeled off around the back, and then they swung round and. Instead of the Bantam staying in rep range of the battleships, which I think there might have been a fall off, they actually swung round and after the Raptor did a drive-by scram on the Guardian, just to make sure he wasn't going to burn off. He's probably after burner, but just to be sure. The Bantams both dived in and did a web each on the Guardian and actually orbited him at 500, and I was trying to figure out where the hell are the Bantams on top of them. So actually, that's how they missiles managed to apply the DPS to that Guardian and get him down so quickly, because they were actually using the logistics ships as tackle, which was a pretty sick play, and that's the first time I think I've seen that in tournaments ever. So I was really excited. That's the kind of shit I log in for, and I'm super hyped. I get really nerdy excited about shit like that.
Yeah, and it's something that it's safe to say there are instances where on Tranquility you will see sort of, I won't say gimmicky, but there are certain groups that have put tackle on logistics hulls in really small gang setups. Specifically, there's some Spider, T3 Destroyer, Logi, blah, blah, blah setups where some people make that work, but it's definitely not a common thing, and it's a bold choice. 4 mid slots on a Bantam to commit 25% of your tank and propulsion and cap injection capacity to that is pretty awesome. So really well played by them. And it's also interesting knowing now that they had webs and then remembering what happened the first time they brought those comps. Oh god, Red Bull. The fact that they the Svipples completely took the Bantams out of the fight, so we didn't get to see that utility in that tackle. So the lack of target painters on something like a Vigil or a Hyena now makes more sense, having known what we do that we couldn't tell in the first match. So really cool and nice to have seen them field that comp and be able to utilize all the little tricks they had up their sleeve. A couple of people have tweeted at me and at several of us on the hashtag Eve Sports, EVE Sports. So I'll read those. Somebody says, how is life watching awesome EVE Online PvP with the classic EVE FanFest plague? It's not so bad. At least I don't know how you feel about it, but
It feels wonderful.
Yeah, if I'm going to be sick, I'd rather be doing EVE Sports, right?
I-
Bay, you excitedly tweeted that the dual bantam tackle was sick, and it was sick. That's my favorite moment of the day for sure. And then it's just us tweeting at each other because the Twitch viewership is super lazy. It's their weekend. We should be nice to them. I want to direct the attention of the stream to something that the commentating team did pick up on, and the cameramen covered quite well up top. Hashtag camera operators. But I have the Typhoon skin up on my screen right now. So the Typhoons on the Hard Knock side of this match already had the Interstellar Gaming Commission. I think it's IGC, the Interstellar
Independent Gaming Commission.
I was close. I had to do with stars. Get off my back. Okay, so the Independent Gaming Commission skins on the Typhoons, which are the, and I will zoom in on the logo here in a second, which are the prizes this weekend. And this is what these two teams, again, are a margin of 5 skins separates them, but these are worth a huge amount of ISK, and more importantly, at least a huge amount of swag.
Yeah, for sure.
I've heard the phrase dripping swagoo. I've never felt comfortable using it until right now, and I hope I've used it right.
I'm not entirely sure.
I'm not asking for feedback on that. We can keep that one off Twitter. But you can see the IGC badge here in the back. Beautiful tritone. These are really, really awesome skins, and they were created for this tournament specifically. So huge thanks to CCP for going out on a limb and creating something so cool. And to Hard Knocks for having the foresight to just throw it all out there, like go out in style. All right, so what else is there? There was a point in there that I wanted to ask about. And so, Tony, I'll ask you, there was, after the Guardian had gone down on the Hard Knocks side, the Bargus were both focused on the Brutix, the Brutix of Hoodie Mafia. I was zoomed in. I'm not sure if our camera on screen was on me at that time, but one of the Typhoons on the Hard Knock side actually went to bump the Bargus away from the Brutix. So in this scenario, does that accomplish anything, getting the Bargus further away? And then more importantly, like bumping in general in tournaments, how often do bumps mean anything in a tournament situation like this?
I mean, they can move a lot. I think the only reason I would think that they would want to bump the Bargus because it applies full DPS. It's always going to be in like optimal nuke range, even if you bump it. Is maybe to get it out of smart bomb range. So then that way, I don't know, the Typhoon's drones could maybe repair the Brutix if they were using rep drones, or the Typhoon's drones wouldn't die if it was on one of the Bargists to like separate them a bit more. But I mean, bumps normally where bumps make a huge difference is when you're fighting against like a Tinker composition or like a team that relies on energy transfers, you know, those sort of teams, which are of course banned in even T collides.
Gotcha. I mean, we've, you know, in a larger tournament of Popney and Elise and everybody who viewed the Alliance tournament, we've talked about Tinkers. We've said the word Tinker so much I want to bleed out of my eyeballs, but we see bumps in that scenario where things are obviously very range sensitive for cap transfers. Those are not allowed here by the rule set of NT Collides and really the Collides tournaments as a theme. Tinkers are just not viable, not allowed by rules. So it is interesting though to have seen that bump and to know that even though it seemed like Hard Knocks was sort of in a losing situation, sort of a bleeding out situation, the pilots are still thinking, and they're still trying to be proactive about getting as much as they can out of what they have left. So it was well piloted. Obviously not the ideal bumping scenario, but Terabyte TV, which is at Beast Corp Gaming, tweets, tell CCP to make Dank Red in Cursus skin. So Logibro, if you could just forward that on and get that out like next weekend, that would be fantastic. Tharantha asks, we're just a few minutes away from the next match, guys, so we're just focusing on some questions right now, and obviously we'll delve a little bit more into that match, whatever comes to mind. But Tharanth Eve says, scripted E-War for next Alliance tournament, yay or nay? I'm just going to go ahead and say nay, personally, after having seen how it affected the tournament this past year. But Elise, what do you think? I mean, obviously some scripts have changed with E-War, and things like sensor booster, immunity to E-War. Those are obviously defensive, not offensive. But do you think that justifies sort of a revision or a reassessment of scripted E-War in an Alliance tournament setting?
I don't know. Those ships are such force multipliers, and we saw when the scripts were allowed that just everyone always took Maulus's and Celestis's, and it was just the most annoying shit in the world. Like every setup just needed to have dams in order to compete, and if it didn't, then it was a bad setup basically. So I'm kind of glad to see when that's not the case. I think it opens up to more like interesting dynamics and different archetypes that you can take. So kind of, at least for dams, I really hope that they don't have scripts going. For tracking disruptors, I think you can make the case that that's fine because you can just take drones or missiles, or you'd have to take a missile tracking disruptor, stuff like that. But I mean, it's probably easiest just to say, nah, fam, let's just not do it. Let's not deal with that shit.
Suetonia, what do you think? Do you think the removal of scripted offensive E-War has made the tournament better, or do you think it's limited certain styles of play?
I think it's made it better. Like as Elise mentioned, like every competitive setup needed dams or some way to deal with dams, and normally the best way to deal with dams is to have dams of your own to damp the dam ships, if that makes any sense. So
No, it does. It does too much, and it sounds about as boring and awful as it is to watch, I think. Yeah, watching two carries pilots fly away from each other and then back in, trying to establish damp superiority, not how I choose to spend my weekends most of the time. But it was an end of an era for certain comps like the ECM Blob. But still, although I guess the ECM Blob is technically still viable, right? If anything, it became more viable. Disregard. I forgot what happened this last Alliance tournament, even though I was there in body and partially in spirit. Just a few minutes out, guys. The teams are not yet on the field, so we are going to be operating on just a couple minute delay. We covered target painters off the Bargus, the dank Bantam webs, or Batman webs, as I like to say, the Typhoon bump, the Typhoon skin. Let's talk about momentum then, I guess. Popney, if you are Warlords, does winning that match really crank it up to 11 for you, or is it still a very tenuous situation for them?
I mean, Warlords are pretty experienced pilots, so I don't expect them to fall too hard into the emotional highs of lows of we just brought it back. They've all been in this situation before. Yeah. So I think they're just staying cool and collecting. Okay, based on what they've got left, we can't use this up anymore. What's the next best setup? And they're just kind of methodically going through it, getting ready for the next match, and just going from there. I think that's their approach to this.
I just saw the funniest comment of today's broadcast in the stream chat. Somebody says, "Why fly a Typhoon when you have the Raven?" The Raven is awful, first and foremost, and that really is just coming from an emotional place, not even like a common sense min-maxing sort of place. It's just the worst. Not as bad as the Navy Dominics though, and I maintain that to this day. But sure, let's entertain that question on the off chance that guy's not trolling. Suetonia, why not the Raven?
I think the Typhoon's a lot better in this format than the Raven because it has more drone space and it has an application bonus which is more relevant, and it has it has more utility highs than the Raven. Actually, I think they both have the same utility highs, but the Typhoon has better fittings than the Raven.
But and honestly, just look at them, right? I mean, let's just be vain for a minute. Just look at them. Which one? If you're gonna die, right, and the story gets printed in the news and they have the last shot of you alive, do you want to be in a Raven?
I mean, I think a Raven is probably the hipster choice. You'd probably look cooler if it was it depends on the magazine. If it was in Forbes or something, you'd rather be in a Raven, I think.
how important are you in space where they're publishing your spaceship obituary in Forbes magazine? What? Okay,
I mean,
I'm
he's
moving
kind of
on.
a big deal.
Babe, bring this back to a more sensible place. We're talking like the local paper, maybe a school paper even. What do you want to be seen in? Do you want to be seen in a Raven? Do you want to be seen in a Typhoon? And I will remind you, there's no IGC skin for a Raven.
For a Raven, yeah. Well, that alone is a good enough reason to justify a Typhoon. If you ever get one of these skins, why would you want to fly anything else ever? I think is the question. Someone else asked me the question actually. We've been flying Typhoons a lot on TQ recently, and one of my corbies is like, "Why don't we use Raven?" And the main reason is the agility. I think for me, the Raven is a brick. It just sits there in the middle of the field and doesn't move. And in tournaments, that usually doesn't work out very well because you can't get to the target and you can't get away from bad things. So that's one reason that Typhoon great. Also, the slot layout was really, really cool on Typhoon because you've got 5 mid slots and 7 low slots, which means you can have a solid armor tank, but also still have MWD plus 4 kind of useful mid slots that can be damage application, they can be tackle, they can be E-War. So you get a lot more to play with, whereas the Raven, you have to put tank in the mid, so you don't get those funky mid slots to play with, and the low slots are just all DPS. So less of a flexible ship, the Raven, and more fun to fly the Typhoon.
Yeah, Typhoon is super fun for small gang stuff. Anti-Repper, couple of nanos, and some rapid heavies are good times. Not to say I do well with them, but fun to fly, certainly. Okay, so both teams are on field. Again, let's not discuss what's actually on field until we cut to the arena itself. But Warlords now has 1 win. Hard Knocks has 2, and it's a best of 5. So Hard Knocks only needs to win either of the next 2 matches to take it. Warlords needs to win both of the next 2 matches to take it. Can they do it, Elise? Can they really?
I mean, they've done it before. As you said, it is a lot about momentum. They've got all the momentum, though the Hard Knocks team did just kind of play in front of a few thousand people for the Amar Championships, or at least some of their pilots did. So I think they're as you would say, dripping with swagoo.
Okay.
I'm not
I just want to say
comfortable with
I
that,
wouldn't
actually.
say that. I was quoting somebody else who would say that. A bolder,
I'm sure.
swaggier man. All right, so just real quick, and unfortunately we can't see who's on field, but Bay, who do you think is going to take this match?
It could go either way.
Don't
tell.
overthink it. Just speak
okay.
from the heart.
I'm gonna go for
Take your
Waters
time.
of the Deep. Waters of the Deep, just so it can be a 2-2 because I want to see
Clearly-
four matches.
Clearly not an instinctive decision. A lot of anguish behind that one. Poppy, who do you think is going to take this round?
Warlords of the Deep because they're flying the best tournament spaceships.
I don't see a Navy Dominix on grid, but do my eyes deceive me? Elise, what are you thinking? Or did I already ask you?
You didn't ask me, but I'm pretty sure Warlords Deep are going to do it.
Very good, Suetonia, what do you think?
I'd like to see this go to 5 games, so I'm going to go with Warlords.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. So a lot of enthusiasm behind Warlords. Still, though, the straw poll strongly in favor of Hard Knocks. Finally caught up from the domination of the first 2 matches. Elise, are teams ready?
Teams are ready, yeah.
Excellent. Let me just scroll down.
This is what we call good production quality right here.
Oh, god damn it. This Icelandic Death Flu is going to be the end of us all. All right, guys. So again, this is match 4 in a best of 5 series. This is the semifinals of this season of EVE NT Collides. Warlords of the Deep versus Hard Knocks. This has been a great series so far and a great season for both teams. At this point, if Hard Knocks wins, that's the end of this match, and we'll go to the finals, or this series, and we'll go to the finals tomorrow. But if they lose, we're going to 5 matches, and that's what we're praying for here in the studio. So without further ado, good luck to both teams, and I'll send it to Poppy and Bay Arche.